All right, yesterday we talked about -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Here's our mu and our 3 standard deviations above the mean and 3 standard deviations below the mean. And we could draw conclusions about percentiles based on where our z-score is. Excuse me. Well, today you'll notice our z-score is not a 1, 2, or 3, that standard deviation. It's not a 1, 2, or 3, or -1, -2, or -3. Here, this problem says z is less than -1.83. We need to find the percentile or the proportion that represents this area. Step 1, mark -1.83 on your curve. Approximately there. Step 2, shade. It's less than, so I'm going to the left. Step 3, in order to find the percentile or the proportion, I need to go to Table A. The sub should have given you this Table A, and if the sub didn't, you ask for it because it was on my desk. Now, on Table A, z is equal to -1.83. I'm going to erase this. I tried it earlier and it cut me out of it, so just give me a second here. When you're looking at this z chart, this column right here, these are the first 2 digits of your z-score. This column right here is your last digit of your z-score. We go to this -1.8, which is right here, and I'm going to circle this row. That's my first 2 digits, and my last digit is here, 3. And you'll notice then my proportion is 0.0336. So I'm going to write that down right here, 0.0336. Written as a percentile, we'd multiply by 100 or move it over 2 to the right, and it would be 3.36%. Okay, the next problem, number 21, and because I got cut off on my last video, I apologize. Where am I getting this from? Let me back up. Hopefully the sub will tell you this, but this is the back of worksheet 1. So if you were just lost on that problem I just did, start from the beginning, get worksheet 2, excuse me, but I'm blaming it on my sickness. Worksheet 2 out and go to the back. Your homework was the front. We're doing the back together. I'm now going to go on to number 21, 2.18. Step 1, mark it on your curve. Step 2, shade. Now notice it's a greater than, so I'm shading to the right. Step 3, go to your table. Z is equal to 2.18, so the first 2 digits are here and the last digit is here. And you'll notice it's a little hard to read here because I went over it, but it's 0.9854. This is your proportion. Now, there's an issue. 0.9854, when you're dealing with the table, it's always in terms of less than. The area under the curve is equal to 1. So step 1, mark it on your graph. Step 2, shade. Step 3, go to the table. And step 4, when it's greater than, you do 1 minus the decimal, 9854. When I get that, I get 0.0146. Whoops. And there's my proportion. If I want it as a percentile, I move the decimal 2 to the right for 1.46. Number 22, we're going to skip right now. It is just like number 20. So if I was going through it, I would say step 1, mark it. Step 2, go shade to the left because it's less than. Step 3, go to your table, and you do not need to subtract from 1. Why? Because it's a less than, and your table is always representing less than. Number 23, it says Z is between 1.42 and 2.68. Notice it's a between. Step 1, mark it on your graph, 1.42 and 2.68. Step 2, shade. Step 3, go to the table for both of them and find the proportion. So 1.42 and 2.68. I'm going to write that down so we don't forget. 1.42 and 2.68. 1.42, 1.4 is here, 2 is here. It meets at 0.922. .68, 2.6 for the first two, 8 for the last. That's going to get me right there at 0.9963. Whenever it's between, now what we need to do is we need to take the decimals and subtract the big minus the small. So I'm going to take 0.9963 minus 0.9222, and I get 0.0741. When you look at this now for between, right here, this proportion represents 0.0741, 7.41% as a percentile. So what were the steps here? Step 1, mark it on your curve. Step 2, shade. Step 3, go to the table. Step 4, because it's between, you do the big percent minus the smaller percent. Okay, so what you should have noticed from these three examples is I have a less than, a greater than, and a between. Please watch this again if you need to take notes or just change your notes. I'm going to move on now. Now we're going to go backwards. Now they give us the area, and we have to find the z-score that goes with it. So if you notice here, step 1, what is the area? We already note that. Step 2, is it a less than or a greater than? This one is a less than. How do I know that? It's shading to the left. Step 3, go to your table. I'm looking now, I'm going to erase all this because I don't want it to get too confusing for you. And for those of you who are going to be bugged by all the extra marks that I don't get, I'm really sorry. Okay, so my percentile, my proportion is 0.0630. 0.0630. What I need to do now is I need to go backwards. I'm finding a z-score, so I'm looking inside the chart for this number, 0.0630. I see 0.0618, and then here I see 0.0630. To go backwards now, I need to say what z-score is that. And I see a negative 1.5 for the first two digits, 3. And that's going to represent this area. Z is equal to negative 1.53. Next, you'll notice that this area is greater than. When you see it as a greater than, the first thing you need to do before you go to the table is do 1 minus 0.2981. 1 minus 0.2981. Why am I doing this? Because it's a greater than, and the chart is always less than. When I do that, I get 0.7019. So now what I need to do is I need to go to my chart, and I need to look for 0.7019. 0.7019 is right here. I'm going backwards again. I'm finding the z-score. So the first two digits are 0.5, and the last digit is 3. So the answer is 0.53. And I'm not going to make you do the between, just so you know. All right. Next, you may see it with the percentiles already changed, or the proportions changed to percentiles. For a normal distribution, find the z-score that corresponds with the following percentile. 60%. You're going to change this then to a 0.60. How did I do that? I'm moving my decimal 2 to the left to change it to a decimal instead of a percent. Why did I do that? The table only deals with decimals. It does not deal, or proportions, excuse me. It does not deal with them in percents. When you see percentile, it's always less than, unless they say top 20%. So I'm just going to my table. And now the issue is here is 60% is not going to be there exactly. So you have to find the closest one to 60%. So I see 0.5987 and 0.6026. And 0.5987 is closer to 0.60 than 0.6026. So I'm going to find that z-score, which is z is equal to 0.25. And then finally, if you see top 20th percentile, remember the top, you need to do 1 minus 20%. I'm sorry, 0.20, the decimal. Okay, so change it to a decimal. And that's going to give me 0.80, which is the less than. Whenever it's on the right-hand side, a greater than, and top means greater than, you have to do 1 minus that decimal, and that's going to give me 0.80. I go to my chart. .80. You need to say which one's closer. And this one right here, 0.7995 is closer. So I have a z of 0.84. Please rewatch this if you need to. Pause where you need to. Take the Schoology quiz. And that will be it for your job today. Thank you.